What's going on, Neon Nation? Welcome back to the Neon Arcade for some Cyberpunk 2077 and Cyberpunk news. Today we're talking about a new Cyberpunk Red FAQ, which gives us details about the connection between Cyberpunk 2077 and Cyberpunk Red, some Countdown to the Dark Future episodes highlighting references CDPR has made to 2020 in Cyberpunk 2077, some timeline clarification from Mike Pondsmith, and an officially sanctioned LARP event for those of you into live action roleplay and immersive lore experiences. First we have our art section, which is a little different this week. Earlier last week, sound engineer Craig Owen sent me an email showing off his sound redesign for the Cyberpunk 2018 E3 trailer. I'm gonna let this one play a bit, but it's super impressive, and if you guys would like to see the full video, I'll link it in the pinned comment.
No.
If you guys know what legendary movie that last piece was in reference to, drop a comment and let me know. Before we start our news segment, we also have a little hint at what we could possibly get on the CD Projekt Red merch store, which has oddly not been released yet, despite the announcement being over a month ago. This is from a CDPR employee showing the samurai shirt off on Twitter, and I tried to get him to spill the beans on if this is potential merch, but I had no luck. I do think it's incredibly likely, however, that this will show up. Starting off the news, we have an IGN article about Cyberpunk 2077 coming from IGN Brazil, which reveals a few more details about the world of Cyberpunk. Although most of the article is repetition of what we've already heard before, there are some interesting facts here. Mateus Tomaskiewicz was interviewed for this one, and in a statement made about his work as a mission director for 2077, says, "It is a largely quality control position, but I believe one of the most interesting responsibilities is to review the game frequently and to ensure that missions do not conflict or contradict another in their implementation. There are a lot of dependencies between missions, especially on main story missions. We try hard to have missions that intertwine and complement each other organically." He later mentions in regards to the world of 2077 that it's a dystopian vision of the future, but gives us an opportunity to play with various themes. We can play on serious subjects and show a distorted mirror of our current social problems. On the other hand, you have a myriad of art styles, a mixture of flamboyant advertisements, colorful communities, stylish bodies, insane gangs, and so on. Mateus departs the interview by mentioning, "We love our community and we know that you are looking forward to new things. Keep an eye out, we have some really cool things to show off this year." Next we have a Cyberpunk Red FAQ, released and updated by the creators of 2077's source material, Mike Pondsmith and RTalsorian Games. These are the guys who created the original pen and paper, Cyberpunk 2020. As you guys already know, Cyberpunk Red will help bridge the gap between the events of Cyberpunk 2020 and 2077. Let's go through some of the updated FAQ. The first question is, what exactly is Cyberpunk Red? Red is a new edition of Cyberpunk, the original tabletop role-playing game of the dark future, created by Mike Pondsmith and published by RTalsorian Games. Does Cyberpunk Red take place in the same universe as Cyberpunk 2020 and 2077? Yes, RTalsorian and CD Projekt Red have worked together on a common timeline for the original Cyberpunk in Cyberpunk 2013 to Cyberpunk 2020 to Cyberpunk Red to Cyberpunk 2077. Mike Pondsmith has also clarified this on Reddit, despite him not taking to Reddit to start threads too frequently. Cyberpunk 2020 and 2077 are in the same timeline, he states, and even gives hints at the potential plotlines of Red, saying that there's a massive nuke somewhere out there in the Red universe, but he won't reveal who's in possession of it. The next question is, when in the timeline does Cyberpunk Red take place? Cyberpunk Red takes place between the end of the Fourth Corporate War and 2077. We realize that's a long stretch of time, but we aren't ready to say exactly when in that time period Red will begin. What is Cyberpunk Red's relationship to Cyberpunk 2077? Red will show the cyberpunk world in a period of rebuilding following the Fourth Corporate War. It will help show how society has moved from that world-shattering event to what's presented in the video game. The next question is, when will Cyberpunk Red be released? We're aiming for an August 1 release, but that will change if we aren't ready. Now this is interesting because it does fall in line with 2077's release speculations we've had for October-November 2019. Red would have to come first to bridge the gap, and it would make sense if they both came out relatively close to each other for the hype to cross over to both mediums and increase sales. Next question is, what formats will Cyberpunk Red be available in? It will be available in a full color hardcover book and a full cover PDF in digital form. They've commissioned new artists and say that the illustrations will be on par with any modern RPG. The Witcher TRPG had some amazing illustrations, and 2020s, although flooded with character and personality, are quite dated and lack color, so I'm pretty stoked to see all the new art. If you guys want to read more questions I omitted, I'll put a link to the Red FAQ in the pinned comment. Next we have some countdown to the dark future details from again RTalsorian games. These help tell the story of the cyberpunk lore and narrative, and this week is super important as they're showcasing 2020's influences in 2077. It's actually quite funny that they're doing this week because a day before this series began, I tweeted out this picture about how this 2020 sourcebook scene looked very similar to the 2077 Maelstrom briefing scene, showing how much influence the source material has in 2077. In episode 121, we have comparisons from the Cyberpunk 2020 cover to a Cyberpunk 2077 wallpaper featuring female V. Stylistically, these are very similar. In episode 122, we have the Raven Micro Cybernetics Spider Micro Waldo Bracer from Chromebook 3 of the Cyberpunk 2020 source material. This is a similar Micro Waldo Bracer that our Ripper Dog Victor uses, although when we take a closer look you realize that the bracer is from Arasaka and not Raven Micro Cybernetics. In episode 123, we look at some potential inspiration for the samurai logo by looking at the Pacific Rim sourcebook. The Oni face shares many similarities to the Pacific Rim book cover, which highlights the countries, people, and corporations of the Far East. In episode 124, we see the air hypo from Cyberpunk 2020 and its equivalent in Cyberpunk 2077 as we use it to clear the airway for Sandra Dorset. I've actually mentioned this in a past video in our gameplay analysis, so it's nice to have noticed this quite early on. Design-wise, the air hypo is extremely similar if not identical. Episode 125 features how the logo for Silverhand Studios from Chromebook 1, a housing project owned by Silverhand, has been reformatted into the cover of a 2077 Silverhand album cover. In episode 126, we have the comparisons between the AV3 Aerocop from Chromebook 3 to the Police Aerodyne from the Cyberpunk 2077 teaser trailer. Again, there are some design similarities here, and the influence of the source material is carried throughout 2077. In episode 127, we see the verticality of the world being present in 2077 after its representation in 2020. Night City will be vertically expansive, and these multiple floors will be explorable. If you guys are interested in learning about the source books and the source material, or if you'd like to grab a copy of any of these handbooks, you can visit the Talsorian store link in the pinned comment and grab your copies. I've gotta say, reading these are quickly becoming some of my favorite things to do in my spare time, and each of them really dives headfirst into particular aspects of the cyberpunk universe, and I really recommend the Night City sourcebook as a comprehensive guide to the cyberpunk lore. Finally, we have some details about an officially sanctioned live-action role-playing event featuring Cyberpunk and Night City. Some of the prop designers reached out to me to share some of their work, and I figured it would be a great opportunity to showcase what they're doing here when it comes to this unique and vibrant event. Cyberpunk Night City is a live-action role-playing event created by Jackalope Studios and in collaboration with RTalsorian Games. The event will take place on Memorial Day weekend, which is May 24th and 25th, and will transform a portion of San Antonio, Texas into the open-air market of Carter Street in Night City, California. The bespoke-style LARP takes place after the end of the Fourth Corporate War. While not an official part of the timeline, Jackalope has worked with Mike Pondsmith to be as accurate as the format allows. That means that the Cyberpunk Night City LARP will provide the first glimpses into the possibilities of the upcoming new edition, Cyberpunk Red. Just for clarity, the venue is an indoor airsoft battleground, but they won't be using any airsoft weapons for the event. I reached out to the media ambassador of RTalsorian Games, Jay Gray, where he clarified to me that they worked with Jackalope to provide details to create a world that resembles Cyberpunk Red, but won't be an exact one-to-one match. They've naturally had to make up some details to fit within their plotline and setting, but some glimpses will be a more accurate representation of Cyberpunk Red. Jay also adds that what they've seen so far looks amazing and features some jaw-droppingly gorgeous set pieces and costumes, and that Mike Pondsmith is pleased with what they've come up with. Furthermore, Jackalope has released an extensive player handbook that fleshes out the world they're looking to create. I want to highlight some of these details, as the handbook at times reads just like a cyberpunk sourcebook. First, we have locations on Carter Street like the Palace of Pleasures and the Market. We have Edgerunner squads like Killstar, Solid Crew, and The Fallen. Local fixers and small timers are also a part of the world listed in the player handbook. Gangs like Arcana and the Technopunks are prevalent, and medias find themselves out of the grasp of the Media Corps and have more freedom in spreading their influence. Check out the handbook to learn not only about the world of the LARP, but the rules associated and how the event will actually unfold. In terms of activities in the actual venue, there'll be things like Ripper Dock stations and NPCs to receive upgrades, Blade Runner inspired noodle stands, and more. You can find out about tickets, pricing, and you can engage with Jackalope Studios to learn more on their various social networks and website. As well as on-site ticket packages, there are off-site ticket packages which will allow you to interact with on-site players using terminals and dedicated internet spaces, which feeds right into the lore and immersion. I'll link you to everything about the event in the pinned comment. As there is limited spacing, if you guys are interested in this, I'd suggest purchasing sooner rather than later and to start planning your trip if you're not in that area. Thanks for watching guys, and for everything and anything Cyberpunk 2077, join Neon Nation by subscribing to the Neon Arcade.